You want to buy a house and you're not married. And you're wondering, is that going to be a problem? I mean, look, in people in their 20s, for every 5 married couples who buy a home, there are 2 unmarried couples who buy a home. And then it's about 5 to 1 for couples in their 30s. So it's not an issue for real estate agents or mortgage bankers, maybe for your parents, and that's it. No one else is really going to care. Owning a home together is fun. You know, think about like when we bought our first home, my wife and I, we had a baby. And he took his first steps in the living room of that home. And I can still picture that. We don't own the house anymore, but I can perfectly picture him taking his first steps between the couch and the TV. When you own a home together, you can decorate it together. You can choose a dog and have your own dog in your own backyard. It's just a really rewarding experience. You just have to really communicate, you know, maybe even more so than a married couple, just because if things go south, you know, you have fewer laws that actually tell society what's going to happen with that home. So one of the first things to talk about is costs. Really discuss like how much you both are comfortable paying for a home. And then you have to talk about splitting the costs for things like the down payment, the mortgage payments, and maintenance and repair. Is it going to be 70-30? Is it going to be a percentage of each person's income? You know, what happens if she makes $60 for every $40 he makes when you buy the house, and then that switches over to he's making 60 and she's making 40, you know, after a couple of years? How are you going to handle that? Make those agreements now. Kind of set those rules now, and there's going to be less strife in the future. Okay, now that you've been talking about money, it's time to talk about some other pretty fraught stuff, which is what I call a housing prenup, which is a written agreement, something that you negotiate and agree with beforehand about what's going to happen if you split up, or if you get married, or if one of you dies. And this is something that is probably best handled by talking to an attorney and then coming up with a written agreement that you both sign and the attorney oversees. Now, talking about attorneys, the attorney can also step you through the different ways of home ownership. In other words, the title. Now, you could do a title where one of you owns the home outright, or where you own it 50-50, and if one of you dies, the other just automatically gets the other 50%. Or you could do a home ownership style where you split it, like 60-40 or 70-30. It's something to discuss with an attorney because it's awfully complicated, so you can kind of have both of these discussions at one time with one lawyer. So you might think that all of this is between the two of you, but in all likelihood, you both have parents, and they might not approve of your relationship. They might not be happy with the kind of house you get or where you buy it. They might want to kind of control you with financial contributions to help you buy the home. You know, this is just something that the two of you need to discuss. You need to really get together and just kind of, and just sort of present a united front to both sets of parents. And it might be easier in the long run to not accept financial help from your parents. That way you just kind of get to make the decisions that you want to make. And you know, if they have any disapproval, you know, those feelings might just kind of melt away if your parents end up getting grandchildren out of this. I have a nephew. He and his girlfriend had a baby, then they bought a house. And then, when it came to time to refinance his VA loan, he discovered he was going to get a better deal if he got married. So they got married. And it just goes to show, people do things in different orders, and that's just fine. He did it his way, I did mine the exact opposite way. Got married, had a kid, bought a house. You know what? Any way you choose to live your life, it's just fine. So much of this just boils down to communication. As we're talking about with home affordability, discussing that housing prenup. How are you going to split the costs? And as long as you can keep those lines of communication open, you should just be fine. I'm Holden Lewis, and this is Awkward Money Questions, where we give you smart and comforting answers to uncomfortable money questions. Write your comments and questions below, and subscribe.